Well, then, let us shift the subject of the talk to the first chapter. Darkness and light face each other. From negative to positive. Negative refers to the black and white film or the negative image of a color film that once played a leading role in photography. The positive, also called photographic positive, refers to the printing of photographs or paper printing. I'm sure you all know this photograph by Robert Frank, a well known photographer who is respected and loved by photographers all over the world today. This is his contact film, or in other words, part of his contact prints. Last year, in 2009, I designed a special book which was a collection of Robert Frank's contact prints. It was a collection of works that Frank had not made public till that time. I have borrowed here a cut of the photo book called The Americans that is representative of his works. I wonder if you all know around 50 years ago, monochromatic pictures, which are black and white photos, were the mainstream and were used even until the 90s. The photographers who will take monochromatic pictures would first make contact sheets like this by themselves and would confirm the quality of the images. In photography before the digital camera, a film is stored in a dark box called a camera was exposed to outside light through a lens. And then first the negative would be ready. To photographers, this was the most important task. What is projected here is a negative in which white and black lights are reversed, that is, a negative film. First of all, negative films like this one are made. To make a negative film, the film from the camera is taken out in a dark room and developed. Areas exposed to light become blue due to chemical treatment, while areas not exposed to light remain transparent. This is the feature of negative film. In other words, the relationship between light and darkness is established, reversed from reality. This negative film is kept on top of the positive sheet in the dark room, and then it is hit with light. Once that is done, the two layers will quickly turn black. The negative is removed, and a positive image is printed on the photographic paper placed below. Previously, we had to make this kind of trouble and effort for images and printing. And in order to do such chemical work, it was necessary to work in a dark room with only an orange lamp on. Encountering light in the dark room, turning from negative to positive. This was the fundamental process for developing images. Actually, not just photographers, but graphic designers, as we are called, also had similar operations that used the darkroom. In the decades of 1950s and 60s, the three sacred treasures of a designer were one having a dark room, and then having an enlargement machine, and lastly having an earlier copy system called quick copy. These were the three sacred treasures. In the present age, we have computers, scanners, color printers. Such an environment is like an entirely different world. Rather than working under bright light, the initial design work was done in the dark in a dark room. As we have seen so far, the process of creating a single photograph involves encountering light in a dark room and the transformation from negative to positive. In other words, there was a process in which light was born from darkness. Skillful photography can be said to be an alchemy of light, and it also means making full use of a kind of printing magic. We designers, similar to photographers, also needed the darkroom for our work, and because of this, when I was young, I had many friends and acquaintances who were photographers. They were photographers of around the same generation. For example, this is the Hiroshima Nagasaki document 1961. It is a collection of photos of the nuclear disaster at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It is a publication of the Japanese Council Against Atomic and Hydrogen Bombs in 1961. Ken Domon and Shomei Tomatsu are the photographers. On the front cover, a pattern of intense light from the atomic bomb called Picadon was foil stamped onto a square cover, suggesting the momentary light that scattered the radiation and the deep death brought about by this light. This is the double page spread of this photo book. A picture of a statue from the Nagasaki Cathedral that was bombed, a statue of Mary whose face had been peeled off. It is a work by Shomei Tomatsu. The figure of a saint which fell down and got scattered. These are images that have a strong impact on the believers of Christ. And the current situation of the atomic bomb survivors is also reported with a sharp camera eye. Numerous relics exhibited at the Hiroshima Atomic Bomb Museum. A glass bottle melted by high heat, a wristwatch that stopped at the moment of the atomic bombing. The design of this picture book is a collaboration with Kiyoshi Awazu. Around that time, we were meeting and discussing almost every day. The other day, I found a portrait of two of us working together, photographed by Seiichi Otsuji. The pattern in the background is a study of the logo of the Japanese Council Against Atomic and Hydrogen Bombs, which I designed. Hiroshima Nagasaki document 1961. This photo album won the Japan Advertising Artist Member Award in 1961. This is Ordeal by Roses, a collection of photographs taken by Aiko Jose of Yukio Mishima. It is a work from 1963 that delivered a visible impact. It was a theatrical romantic production in which Yukio Mishima, who had made a name for himself as a writer, exposed his naked body and transformed into a figure of Saint Sebastian's martyrdom in a Baroque space. This is the design of the text page. White and purple characters convey changes in the content. Yukio Mishima himself has become his ideal character. Mr. Jose, as the photographer, captured this at will, and it became a hot topic at that time as a unique subject, a unique photo book. Next is The Map by Kikuchi Kawada. It's a publication of 1965, 45 years back. The photo collection appears from within a folding paper case built of black thick board paper. The image covering the top is of paper burning, and on top, if this paper are the keywords of the work, the map, arranged as if they are memos written from memory. The back of the cover is packed with Japanese text and English text that appears in the list of works. The images is scattered throughout this photo book are, for example, ruined military fortresses and its insides, scrap iron, the overturned atomic bomb dome reflected in the river, or a photograph of the relics of the kamikaze corpse, all of which have a rough texture. It is a record of the Second World War, a record of memories that will get under your skin. This photo book was born with the idea that reflecting on the history of Japanese people who face such things can be a map of the path Japan should take towards its future. It was a very difficult task to carefully select each photo by lining up the countless positives that Mr. Kawada relentlessly shot. This book seems to fetch high prices on today's second-hand book market. That is because it is a rare photo book in which all pages are bound in a special double door style. Double door style means that the pages of the book open to the left and right like opening the door of a Buddhist altar. All pages are elaborately folded into layers and bound. For that reason, unexpected encounters between photographs are born even though it is a closed book. There is an unexpected image development when flipped, creating a moment of surprise. It was a photo book with a special binding that was rare in the world in the 1960s. This was an introduction of the complex structure and unfolding of the photo book, The Map by Kikuji Kawada. The next one is Europe, Where Time Has Stopped by Ikko Narahara. It is a publication from 1967. Ikko Narahara was a truly genius photographer. For example, this page spread. Please look especially at the picture on the right, a momentary landscape in Venice, Italy. Shadows of pigeons are moving down the middle of the narrow cobblestone road. Above this picture is the flying pigeon that we cannot see. Also, the passage through which the pigeon flies through is also narrow. It is not as if the photographer ordered the pigeon, "Come, fly now." He was able to quickly and accurately capture a momentary encounter by chance. I was totally surprised to see this picture. It's a picture I really like. The reason is around that time I met and talked with Ikko Narahara almost every night, deepening our exchange. And when I looked at Narahara on a regular basis, I could not see a photographer with the agility to capture such a moment. His daily life is rather slow moving. He seems quite reluctant to make decisions. However, in his head, his heart is full of rich and vivid poetry and telephoto sensibility. I think he was able to brilliantly capture a moment like this with a sharp cross cutting. Mr. Narahara's unique photographs, overflowing with poetic sentiment, photographs that can be called literary, photographs that play with light, inviting out contemplation are all characteristic of the collection of the works titled Europe Where Time Has Stopped. Well, these four photo books, Hiroshima Nagasaki Document 1961, Ordeal by Roses, The Map, and Europe Where Time Has Stopped. Apart from this, there is, for example, Towards the City by Yutaka Takanashi. The large disc attached to the cover is a mirror made of polished aluminum, and the surface is slightly bulging like a convex lens reflecting the outside world. In this book, a notebook like super photo book titled Tokyo People lives together casually in the box. It is a small booklet, but the photos inside are masterpieces of excellent workmanship. Next is the design of Jun Morinaga's book River. This way, I created many photo books. My initial photo book designs are focused in the 60s and the 70s. And at the end of 70s, I designed photo books which had the theme as Asia. For example, many photo books of Hiroshi Suga and others were created. Now, when you look at these photo collections and understand the process of printing photos, you can say that the transition of light from black and white and from darkness to light is the basic theme of photography and design. Black and white, darkness and light, such dramatic rivals, the principles of extreme opposites. I wanted to make this subject my design language. By the way, from 1970s to 1980s, I began to study various symbolic images of the world. These are two of the images I came across during that time. The first thing that appeared, needless to be said, was the Tai Chi map produced in China, a picture of the swirling yin and the yang. The image on the right is a symbolic image known as the Seal of Solomon, two inverted triangles in black and white. It is known to be the symbol of Hasidic Judaism. Both of these are actually images that contain yin and yang, light and darkness. Furthermore, they contain multipolar symbolism that transcends these two poles. The white portion of the yin yang symbol is the yang, and the black portion is yin. A small dot is formed in the bulging part of each vertex. They are poles like eyeballs. It is almost as if it is an image of a pair of birds or fish are chasing each other. The yin and yang parts each have their respective characteristics. Yang, for example, active talks such as brightness, motion, and heat belong to yang. On the other hand, there is yin. Subdued traits such as darkness, silence, and cold belong to yin. In addition, opposite characteristics such as heavy and lightweight, dense and thin, center and periphery, positive and negative, aggregation and separation, and protons and electrons meet and mix to create various phenomena and envelop the whole creation. This is the essence of the idea behind the perspective on nature and cosmic philosophy that was created in ancient China. On the other hand, in the Seal of Solomon, two dubious figures appear in this symbolic image in which two triangles overlap. The face that appears on the top is the king of light, and the face that appears below in the darkness with a face like Cerberus is the king of darkness. The two emperors symbolize the opposite principles of good and evil, light and dark. The white king, the king of light, has the upward triangle all over his body. A face with a crown is drawn on the top of it. On the other hand, the king of darkness that appears below has a downward black triangle on its body. The white king holds down the world of darkness with his black arms, while the black king uses his white arms to oppose the world of light. White and dark, the colors that symbolize light and darkness, contrast each other and appear in a loop. This upward and downward triangle, starting in Egypt and the Mediterranean countries, is also deeply involved with alchemy, which was developed in the medieval Europe after passing through the Islamic cultural sphere. The upward triangle is said to symbolize fire, and the downward triangle is said to symbolize water. Also, the upward triangle is said to represent the masculine principle all over the world, while the downward triangle is said to represent the feminine principle. By intersecting two triangles in opposite directions, this Solomon's seal antagonizes various opposing principles such as light and darkness, fire and water, good and evil, masculine and feminine. It's a rare thing, expressed as an image showing the intertwining duality, and surrounding it is the Ouroboros serpent, a mysterious serpent that is said to grow while eating its own tail, forming a circle. Tai Chi map originated in China. Solomon's seal created by the ancient cultures of the Tigris-Euphrates River. I also noticed that people around the world are trying to visualize light and darkness in this way as the fundamental phenomena while deepening their cultural thinking. This is a moment when a positive is born from the negative. As we saw earlier, negatives are overlaid on a photographic paper and exposed. The negative and positive overlap perfectly. Yin and yang superimpose and give one color, black. In other words, a chaotic darkness is born. As I said earlier, this moment was one of the foundations of my early design ideas. So let's take a look at my collection of book designs on the theme of black and white.